In this episode, I go over my top 5 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, February 2nd, 2022. What's going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going over my top 5 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, February 2nd, 2022. As I said in the intro, having a hard time adjusting, first of all, to 2022 still, and I can't believe we're already talking about February. This month has gone by, and it's just been insane. So, yeah, if you're looking forward to the books coming out next week, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and a huge shout out to everybody in the Premiere chat right now. Always appreciate you hanging out with me here on this Thursday around 12:30-ish Eastern time as these videos normally premiere. So yeah, before I get into the top 5 picks, I do want to mention a few of my honorable mentions. I always like to call a couple out because, you know, making it this top 5 is difficult to, you know, there's always like so many great books coming out, right? But I do want to always trim it down to really show or showcase like the top 5 that mean the most to me, or the ones that I'm looking forward to most. But with that being said, this is kind of my way of cheating around that by naming just a couple other books that I am looking forward to. So briefly, not going to get too much into detail with these. I wanted to just note that there are one New Bern issue number 3, which was on my list from last week, that actually got pushed back to this week. So I'm not going to include it in this particular top 5, but I'm definitely looking forward to New Bern, the Image comic by Chip Zdarsky. And so that got moved back. Also, Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog issue number 4, that was also on one of my lists recently. I feel like that's gotten pushed back a couple times, so that hopefully is coming out this week as well. Another one that just kind of crossed my mind, I have no idea what it's about, but I definitely want to check it out, or at least see what it is about. It's called The Excellent, issue number 1. It's a Marvel book. I have no idea anything else about it, other than it's Peter Mulligan, who I like him as an author, like a lot of his horror stuff that he did last year. So that was kind of, you know, on my radar. And then the last thing I wanted to also mention was that Fantastic Four, their Life Story issue number 6 is coming out. And the reason I highlight this, I haven't really been talking about this, but I am actually looking forward to this as a collected, you know, a sit-down read. So I was waiting for, I think this is the final issue of these, you know, these life stories that they do, usually 6 issues, like the Spider-Man one. So I was looking forward to this, and I wanted to check this out, but I wanted to wait until it actually wrapped up. So this is the final issue. I think that I'm going to give it a shot and just try to, you know, sit down and binge the whole thing. So that's coming out this week as well, if you are interested, or if you have that on your radar, or hey, maybe you've been reading it this whole time and you're really enjoying it. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the Fantastic Four stuff, if you think it's worth your time or worth my time, and if you're liking it. So that was just some of the stuff I wanted to run through. Okay, normally this is the time where I actually talk about my cover pick of the week, my cover buy that I'll be picking up next week. But I'm actually going to purposely wait until I get to the end of this list to kind of reveal what that is for my cover of the week. But before I do all that, let's just jump right into the list. And kicking off the list for me at number 5 is actually going to be an indie comic. It's by Behemoth. It's called Until My Knuckles Bleed. Issue number 1. And right away, this caught my attention just looking at the cover. Kind of reminded me of Kingpin in a way, you know, this big bald guy beating down somebody, bloody knuckles, you know, type deal. Looks like he's in some sort of suit or something, or maybe a jacket of some sort. But yeah, don't know much about this other than Victor Santos is doing all the creativity with this, from the writing to the artwork. So it looks really interesting, and just kind of reading a little bit about it. It says that it's about this guy, Gavin Hart, aka the Damager, now works as a bouncer in a strip club managed by a Russian mob, hangs out sporadically with his ex-Avenged lady, and wrestles with the long-term effects of his cyber implants. But fate always keeps one last cheap shot up its sleeve for a hero. So that's kind of the gist of it. I see they mentioned some other names here. It's like a crime and capes type style. The Boys, Watchmen, Sin City is kind of listed a few. So definitely enough for to get my attention, and so I want to check it out. And of course, you know, I'm a big fan of you know, picking up these issue number 1s for a lot of the indies that come out. So Behemoth definitely has been starting to come out with some really good series. I feel like now over the past year or so, really have started to make a name for themselves. So definitely want to have that on the list. So that's gonna be my number 5 pick of the week, Until My Knuckles Bleed, issue number 1. going into my number 4 pick, I'm going to go with another indie issue number 1. It is New Masters issue number 1. And this is by a writer named Shobo Coker and Shoff Coker as the artist. So assuming they are somehow related or partners of some sort. It looks really interesting. Like first of all, just love the cover here. I want to read just a clip of like, what this is about. I mean, so I was going to say the watercolors definitely got my attention in terms of the art and kind of how that's laid out with this girl here. And I'll read just a clip of this. It says, in a striking vision of West Africa under the thumb of alien colonizers, a motley crew of outcasts find themselves caught up in a power struggle for control of an ancient artifact with immense power. So, a little bit vague, but we get the idea that it's, kind of this futuristic thing. This alien colonizer that it mentions, and these outcasts that are trying to kind of, as they list, find themselves caught up in a power struggle. One of the really cool things that I took away just from looking at this cover, you can see the girl's hand here. It looks like she has like some sort of plant in her hand, but her one arm looks like very robotic or of some sort. So definitely giving you the futuristic vibes there. And yeah, just something that caught my attention. And this is an Image comic, so above all else, like Image has always, to me, I've just really always enjoyed, the different things that Image has come up with. And so Image number 1 titles, I absolutely have as a priority. Talked about it with the Behemoth stuff. I don't always get the Behemoth issue number 1s per se, but I do try to get a lot of the indie issue number 1s. But Image specifically is definitely something always on the list. So that's why I wanted to get this on here. And of course, it just sounds interesting. Looks really cool. I'm curious to see if how the rest of the artwork looks on the interior, assuming it's similar to this cover that we're looking at here. But yeah, so that's going to be my number 4 pick of the week. New Masters issue number 1. All right, going into my number 3, we're going to jump over to some Marvel here, and I'm going to go with Sabretooth. I'm really excited to see that they're bringing Sabretooth back. If you don't know about kind of the whole storyline with Hickman and what had happened, he essentially was like banished in what they call the pit for Krakoa, as the X-Men have, now moved on to this island. And, I'm not going to get into all the details, but, we haven't seen Sabretooth ever since then. So I'm really curious to kind of see what this is about, the direction that they're going to go with this in. I mean, it looks like he's in hell, the way that this cover is like, he's literally on fire. And the other thing I wanted to point out was the writer here is Victor LaValle, who is the artist who did Eve for Boom Studios middle of last year, which I really enjoyed that series, Eve. So I really like that writing style. So I'm down to check this out from Victor LaValle. Really anything that he does, I am down to give it a shot. But more importantly, the fact that it ties into the X-Men series, the whole X-Men titles that I've been really diving into, and happy that I'm caught up on now. It's really been fantastic. And I know Hickman is off the projects now, but I do have a lot of hope for the X titles. And so, this is a great way to kind of lead into that and kind of see what happened to our main man Sabretooth here. So that's why it's going to be my number 3 pick of the week, Sabretooth issue number 1. And we're going back to back here. When I go to my number 2 pick, it's another X-Men book, and we are going to go with, for my number 2 pick, X Lives of Wolverine issue number 2. I really enjoyed issue number 1, and I have to say, I wasn't sure like what I was getting into, other than the idea that like, they're going to kind of tell a story based on like the history of Wolverine, right? And I'm not fully like familiar with all of that stuff because I haven't caught up with a lot of older X-Men title stuff other than the Claremont stuff that I've been reading with John on Omni X-Men. So there's a lot of filler and a lot of like a ton of stories, especially about Wolverine, that I have not actually experienced or read other than maybe what I've seen in the movies or whatever. So I am curious to, see more of this, because the first issue opened up and not only was it like a glimpse of like, some time travel and getting a glimpse of like Wolverine and his multiple like pasts or, things that has happened in his past. But on top of that, this was like a horror book. This was like this was dark and scary, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, so it's written by Percy's been doing, Benjamin Percy. He's the one that's been writing, all the Wolverine stuff. Which, by the way, I'm actually not caught up on Percy's run of Wolverine, and that's probably something I should catch up on as well before I really get in depth with diving into this. But I will say I really enjoyed what I read from that first issue, and that is why I'm definitely on board to continue on with this. And I know they just did X Deaths of Wolverine that had just come out today as I'm recording this new comic book day for the week prior. So I haven't read it yet, looking forward to that, but from my understanding I think it's going to kind of go back and forth and kind of tie in together. So kind of like House of X, Powers of 10, the way they had like 6 issues and 6 issues, but they really went together as like a set of 12 altogether. I think that's kind of how this is going to go with these Wolverine books. So either way, Percy's involved, and Joshua Cassara doing the artwork was fantastic in the first one. Really enjoyed it. So looking forward to more. This cover looks really cool as well. It's got Jean Grey in the background there with Cerebro and what looks to be the helmet, and this shredded up Wolverine. So. So that's gonna be my number 2 pick of the week, X of Lives Wolverine, issue number 2 by Benjamin Percy. So before I get to my last one, again, just want to say, take a moment, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Really do appreciate that. For those of you who've been following along with my Comic Collector Origins, this Saturday, we're actually not going to have a Comic Collector Origins. However, the following Saturday, we will be back for that show. So looking forward to more of those. And if you haven't been seeing my origin stories, I highly recommend checking it out. I've had some awesome guests recently and just been a lot of fun getting to know the community. So those usually air every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern. But we are going to skip this weekend. But yeah, we'll be right back after that. Otherwise, I appreciate everybody in the Premiere chat as well, always hanging out with me here on your Thursday afternoon or morning or wherever you are right now. These top 5s have been a lot of fun. I'd love to know your input or your thoughts on kind of the list that I'm throwing up here. If there's anything that you're getting, anything that you think should be on this list, please let me know in the comment section below. I do appreciate that as well. So let's jump back into it. As my number 1 pick of the week, it's a DC book. I gotta have DC on here. Usually like at least half my list is usually DC. This time around, it was nice to kind of change it up. Has some X titles in there, along with some Image and Behemoth indies. But gotta go with DC. Gotta go with Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 4. This has been fantastic. Tom Taylor has been absolutely crushing it. Yasmine Putri, she was doing the interior. I see now that it's being changed a little bit. Putri was, she's doing the cover art here. We're looking at the cover. But Putri was doing the interior for the first couple of issues. So seeing this changed up makes me a little sad, but hopefully it is still good. I don't really know. So the artist now moving into this is Bengal. Don't know much about Bengal. Interesting that's listed as his name. I don't know if it's kind of like Prince or if they just didn't add that here on the website that I'm looking at. But either way, curious to kind of see the artwork there. This has just been a lot of fun. This is, if you haven't been reading Dark Knights of Steel, it basically takes all the popular characters of DC, but it puts them in this like medieval time period and tells a story that's like completely different than ever told before, including, relationships and enemies and good guys and bad guys. There's a lot of twists and turns. And then on top of that, the storytelling itself, there's a lot of twists and turns. So I'm really excited to see kind of where this goes. Some of the characters that we've been introduced to are really badass, and I'm just excited to kind of see where it goes with Zara, Supergirl, and just a lot of action scenes right now that have been going on from the last issue. It's been really exciting. So absolutely loving it. If you're not reading this, I do recommend it. Of course, it's Tom Taylor, so I am all on board with anything that Tom Taylor does to give it a shot, and that's what initially got my attention with this. I'm not like the biggest DC person in terms of knowledge, and I'm still, learning and reading a lot to get an understanding. But this is definitely something anybody could just jump into. So this is issue number 4 of 12, by the way. So that is my number 1 pick of the week, Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 4. And before you go, I want to give my cover buy of the week. As I said earlier, normally I announce this book, this cover, or I show off this cover earlier, that I'm really looking forward to, that regardless of if I'm reading that series or not, this is a cover buy for me. It is going to be part of my list of books that I'm buying physically, specifically for the artwork on the front cover. And this week it's actually going to go to this stunning variant for Dark Knights of Steel issue number 4 with Harley Quinn here on the front cover. And of course, it is by the very talented Joshua Middleton. He's done a lot of beautiful stuff for DC in general. I know I was buying a lot of his Batgirl stuff for a while, for his variants and cover B variants and stuff like that. So I think this is just stunning. I love that. I love Harley Quinn. Anytime that I can get a cover of Harley Quinn, I'm down for that. And then on top of that, just love this style. Middleton doing Harley Quinn, I am down for it. I love the music, as you can see here with the moon in the background. She's sitting on a keg, and it just really fits the mold of like this time period for this book and what it's all about. So really spot on, and that's why it is going to be my cover buy of the week. Dark Knights of Steel issue number 4, the Joshua Middleton variant. So that's it. That is my list right there. Again, this is a reminder. This is coming out. These are books coming out next week, February 2nd, 2022. And I'm curious what y'all are getting. Let me know in the comment section below. If you think there's something I missed, something that's not on this list, please leave that in the comment section below as well, as I'm always curious about that. So, but again, I appreciate y'all taking some time, hanging out, watching my top 5. Everybody in the Premiere chat right now, thank you as well. Smash that like button on the way out, and I will talk to you later.